Welcome to the January Donovan Show, where we have our mother and daughter conversation where Pia shares her insight, her wisdom as a young woman learning how to be a woman. Okay, so Pia, welcome. This is our second podcast for today because we do these micro sections. So, all right. So, the question actually, which just stems from our previous conversation, was why do people get defensive about women being in the kitchen and learning how to cook and clean? Okay, let's talk about that. First of all, that was your suggestion of really bringing this out, which I think is so wise of you. Why do you think people get defensive about women learning how to cook and be in the kitchen and master their cooking skills?
I think that women think that that's when people tell them that you're supposed to be cooking and cleaning, that that's all that they should do. And they
Hmm.
get like, this is all that I can do. And they get super defensive. Like, and then they turn it to instead of, this is all that I can do, then I don't even want to do it at all. Like, I want to do something totally different instead of like having the balance of, I can be in the kitchen and that's like my role as a mother and also as a wife, but then also there's so much more I can do aside from that. And it's almost like these people who get super defensive about it are like, no, I don't even want to be a mom. I don't even want to like cook and I don't even want to clean. Like that can be the males. Like, and it's almost like it turns into something else that it's not.
Yeah, so essentially, our nature as women, our God, the way God designed us is actually to nurture. Because if you think about it, a baby's in our womb, we nurture it, like we feed it, we take care of it, and it grows, right?
Yeah.
And so when a woman suppresses her nature to be nurturing, food, like nurture people, food mentally, or take care of people, because that's what you nurture, then they actually suppress parts of us. But that's because they've been taught that in order to be happy, they need to be like men, right? They need to achieve things for women. So which means anything that has anything to do with the kitchen makes them feel small. Okay, so but what's the consequence of a woman that does not know how to own her kitchen, which means cook a healthy meal, make dinner sacred, and clean efficiently and effectively? What do you think is the consequence of a woman that doesn't know how to do that?
I think it really could cause the family to fall apart because,
Mm.
in a sense, like the kitchen, and not just like the kitchen and the food that it is, but it's like the wife and the mother that's cooking those meals and bringing the family together through those certain like times in the day. And if that's lacking in a family, then a lot will be changed and a lot will be different. And the family life for that child will be so different. And it'll be really hard for them to understand what it truly means to be a part of like a real family when they're not able to experience like those like things that should be a part of everyone's life.
Oh, it's so good. I feel like everyone needs to hear that from you. It is so wise of you. Okay, so essentially what you're saying is that a woman doesn't know how to cook and clean could rob the beauty of family life, right?
And then that causes those children that she is raising to have those same exact morals because they think that that's what is right. And it's not their fault, it's the environment that they're raised in, but then they create children who have those same beliefs, and it's like a ripple effect of all these children who are like lacking this like sense of family life that they don't have because of um that original person that has like led that to go downhill.
Gosh, it's so good. Then it becomes generational. So if anybody that's listening here that maybe don't have any cooking skills or cleaning skills that can help their family life, you can change it. Like I
Yeah.
think that was something that I had to learn on my own for me, and I had to learn so many basic things because I didn't want to repeat them for my family. But I think that's important for everybody to know you can change. Like that's why we have a growth mindset, right? And you can change. Now, I want to ask you because I think this is important. The importance of a woman learning how to cook, clean, make dinner sacred, and her health. Can you connect the dots for me from your perspective? The important.
Yeah, when a mom or just like a woman has all those things like at least decently like well and everything is going well in her health arena and her like working out, and I feel like that just sets a really great like example to everyone else in her family. And as a husband, you admire your wife for being able to cook and being able to like keep the house in order. And also as those children, it's like, oh wow, my mom, she can do all these things, but like I can't do this, but I do admire my mom for being able to do this, and I wonder how she does it. But by her doing those things, you're able to understand by her example that like you're slowly going to learn these skills from your mom just by being surrounded by it.
Yeah. So what if I told you, Pia, you need to, cook and clean and learn how to do that, but I didn't do it. That
Then I
would
wouldn't
sound
know what to do and I wouldn't know where to go and I would be confused.
confused.
Like,
It
why
would
are
be almost hypocritical.
yeah, why are you telling me to do something if you're not even doing it yourself?
Yeah. So if I tell you, Pia, you need to learn to eat healthy because your health is important for the way you feel about your body, the way you look, the way you think. Right? It's not just eating healthy helps you think better. Like I always tell you that you get a brain fog or you're more alive when you eat healthy. But what if I eat junk food?
Then I wouldn't trust your opinion.
Oh, okay. I mean, I'm just saying this because I think that the
Yeah.
role of a woman is could continually grow and study. And I'm always, where I'm lacking, which is I don't like to exercise. I mean, I do force myself, but it's not consistent. I do eat healthy, but, um, but but if I told you, Pia, you need to exercise every single day, and you probably wouldn't listen to me, right? And okay, let me ask you a question. I tell you all the time to eat healthy, right? But you also seem to eat healthy, right?
Yeah. And it
Okay.
helps me because you also are cooking healthy, so it's easy for me to choose that option.
Yeah, and mommy eats weird food kind of thing, right? But I will say that you've inspired me to be more physical, like work out, like and that was something that you really kind of did on your own. There's been seasons in my life that I would, make the time to be more habitual about exercising or walking at least, but really I haven't been consistent, and that's just like my own, either limiting belief or inability to be more disciplined. But I feel like you've inspired me, and you also challenge me. You get up at 5:30 most days, and you figure out to fit in exercise in your day, which is so great when a mother can learn from her children, because it's not just you learning from me, it's me
That's a
learning from
witness
you.
to the mother, not
Say again.
it's a witness of the mother, not of the children, because how did those children become to know those skills on their own? It had to be from at least example or like habits that they created. Because when you raise children that are like intelligent or not just intellectual, they're able like to learn things for themselves, not be super dependent upon their parents, and that's how they create habits on their own. So I think that's like everything is a root from the parents, especially the children. And
Mm,
I was kind of thinking about this earlier when you were talking about like being hypocritical with like children whose parents have poor marriages and poor relationships, maybe like divorce, and they're like, why would I want to take your dating advice, or why would
mm,
I want to like listen to you when like you have a terrible marriage, or you're just going through a lot, and like why would I want to listen to you? And then it also creates like this, what do I even want, because I don't see it and I
yeah.
don't have that in my life, and it creates a lack of like, I don't know.
Trust.
Yeah. And you're not able to see that clearly. And then you end up in these poor relationships because that's all you know. And that's how you think you can be loved. And then you're caught into this situation where it's almost like the ripple effect. Like, and then you have children that are brought into a poor marriage and a relationship. And those children think that's what love is. And it just goes on to like unhealthy. And I think it's really like harmful for children, especially being in those environments.
I mean, that's like literally, it's so good that you even bring that up. It's like a whole podcast in itself. So I want to be able to not shortchange that because essentially the point is that you learn from your mother, not just what they say, but who they are from your mother and your father, essentially. But I want to wrap this up because I think this is important, and then we can go so many different directions. But yeah, it's so good. Okay, so when we talk about women in the kitchen, what does that mean in terms of your call, even outside of the kitchen? Because I think that's what the headache is. It's like, or the heartache for so many women. It's like, well, you're telling me I'm in the kitchen, and that's it. But that's not what we're saying. We're saying that's foundational to your happiness is and your health and your family life is to learn how to do that. But you can do so much more. Like it's not limited to it. But you shouldn't achieve a lot of good things outside, but your home life is a mess or you can't be healthy, right? It's a disorder. So explain that from your perspective, the importance of the foundational training of eating healthy, but also doing so much more outside.
I think that just having that skill to be able to cook and to clean is really important for your family. But a lot of women take it like, oh, this is all that I can do. Like my role is only to be a mother and to do these things and help my children. But in reality, like that is a really important role, and you need to put in a lot of effort for that because that really determines your children's future and like your whole family. But I think that women are capable of doing so much more than just being a mother, and they're framed as that's my only role and I can only be here and I only cook and I only clean and like, but I think you can do so much more than that, and that's just partially what is part of your role as being a mom. And I think everyone is supposed to figure out what God has in store for them, and if that is to be like a mom and that's it, that's great and that's your calling. But there's so many women who are mothers who can also be so much more than that.
So imagine if I, built a business, wrote a book, but then I did not prioritize you, home life, eating healthy, I mean, providing a healthy meal for you. How would that make you feel if that was the case? Like I'm achieving all these things outside our home, but in our home it's not orderly.
I would feel like a lack of who you really are, and I wouldn't really understand like, oh, I appreciate the things that mom does outside of her home, but I don't really, there's some things I want to change, but it's hard to discover those things, especially when you're growing and you're learning, and your environment really shapes who you are. So being in an environment where the family life isn't as good, it's really difficult for you to discover what you think is right and wrong.
Yeah. So, but you know, explain from your perspective, what do you see, like for me, how would you describe it? Where I always tell you, dare greatly, dream big, achieve the very thing that God has called you. And if that means, you know, for me, building a woman's school, how does that, how do you see me, doing that from your perspective? Like I'm doing both in some ways. I'm working, but I consider myself, it's not necessarily a stay-home mom because my kids are in school right now, but really kind of a full-time mom, right?
Yeah.
Where does that explain to me your perspective and what do you see it from your lens?
For me, it's very like admirable how you do it because it's very difficult to be a mom of 8 children and manage a house the way that you do. So for me, that's something I look and I'm like, oh wow, I really admire this about my mom. She can do all these things in our family, but then be like 100% in her workspace and fully present in each. And for me, that's like a skill I would want to learn, being able to do both, because right now where I am, I couldn't picture myself like being that present in both of these things, but that's definitely something I would want to do in my future. So it's almost like having that example and that role model in my life will help me to learn a lot for my future.
But it's possible. That's what I'm trying to say. Like it's not, and in different seasons too. Like there's certain seasons when you just have a baby, you need somebody to help you, but it's possible to be able to do both and to do it well, but you need a lot of skill training to be able,
Yeah.
to do it. It doesn't happen overnight.
That
That's
doesn't also mean that you need to be raised in a good family to have those skill trainings. You can learn that outside of the life that you were born into. And that just because you were born into a rough life doesn't mean that's going to determine your future. It just depends on how you take what was given to you and how you use it to either for the good or to live maybe a similar life that you grew up in that you didn't enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, I did not have a home life. I always talk about it that I have right now. I didn't know. Just because we were an immigrant family, and my mom and my dad are both an amazing human beings, but it was a different season. We were in the Philippines, so it was very different. So I didn't have like a home life, and so it was such. I think my conviction to have a home was even greater. So you absolutely can change the trajectory of your future, but it requires a lot of intentionality and training, which is what we do in the women's school. Your wisdom is so pivotal, Pia. I mean, I'm like get so emotional thinking about just how much you can impact people more than I ever can, even because I think your lens is that you're helping the next generation. So final advice on the importance of a woman not being defined just by their kitchen, but also but their call inside and outside their home. Final advice of how you can do that as a woman.
So I think if you're a mom and you're feeling like something is missing in your life and you're also like a great wife and you're doing like all that you think you're doing, but something is missing in your life and you're like I don't think I can just be doing this for like maybe 20 years. It depends depending on how many kids you have, and you feel like this lack of like you're not doing enough with your life or there's something missing. And I think that's something you need to discover, and that's where like God is a really big impact in like anyone's life, and being able to figure out like what is God calling me to do, that what can I do on top of being a mother and raising my children into a, like an environment where they're able to understand like that God is here and he is present, but then also like being able to raise kids who can like critically think for themselves. And then on top of that, being able to decide like my life isn't over because now I have children, but my life can now begin because I have children. And
Wow.
just like shifting your mindset.
I love it. You have so much to offer. Well, I love you. Thank you for today. We're going to keep going. If you have any questions, ping us on January at januarydonovan.com. Sorry, maybe that's not it. Yes, I think email. Or you
Yeah.
can join our school community where I do also daily training. I'll post a lot of the questions there. I mean, videos with Pia. And join our community where we're training and growing together as women. Thank you, sweetie. Yes, do you have anything to say?
And if they have any like topics that they would want us to talk about, just to like comment that, and I'm sure we could do some podcasts on those too.
That's a great question. Or they can just comment actually on the YouTube
Yeah.
video here. So thank you all. God bless. And I'll see you next podcast.